Hello, listeners. Welcome to StarCast Podcast on a cold day in February. We are diving in this week into warm water, which sounds really good in February. I have two guests who I'm excited to have with you. I met them on consulting, and I'm so impressed with the business they built. So I'd like to welcome Harmony Oschefski and Cedar Hwang,
Hello.
co-owners and managing partners of Bodhi Spa, which has 3 locations in New England. Bodhi is a really unique business. It's a hydrotherapy spa with a focus on whole body health and wellness. They have a full menu of traditional spa services like massages and facials, body treatments, but they also have a very unique hydrotherapy circuits. And the business is so busy. They have recently opened their 3rd location, so I'm so excited to have them on to tell us about their journey. Thanks for joining us, ladies.
Thank you so much for having us. Thank you.
So let's go back to your early lives. I know you grew up in Nova Scotia, and I doubt either one of you envisioned co-owning a water spa. So tell us, how did you get here? What was the career journey for you?
Yeah, so a little bit about our original grassroots kind of upbringing, which is interesting. Our family always incorporated sauna into our lifestyle. So it really wasn't a luxury. It was a part of our typical way of life. We experienced that with family, with friends, and our cold plunge, we incorporated as well into the sauna lifestyle via a snowbank or, a running stream through the woods on the property that we were growing up on. Our family was very much into back to the land lifestyle. And so this was like kind of the grassroots original exposure that we had to it. So it's always been a part of our life growing up.
Were your parents from Europe? Like, that's just not usual that you'd have sauna and cold plunge as a kid.
Our parents were actually from Connecticut and Rhode Island, so local Rhode Islanders. We were born in Rhode Island. We just grew up in Canada, and they wanted to experience living off the land, off the grid. They were part of that late 60s and 70s culture where they wanted to, take it back a step and enjoy a much simpler way of life. So the very first sauna we actually took was in the van that we were living and traveling in, that they converted a small portion in the very back so we could then still incorporate that sauna lifestyle while we were traveling and moving to Canada.
Wait, you had a van with a sauna in it?
Yeah. Truth. We had a van with a stove, which essentially with 4 walls and a stove and a curtain that kind of wrapped around that contained the heat, was our makeshift sauna. I mean, you could make it out of almost anything. We've sauned in teepees growing up. We've sauned in cabins. We've sauned in a van before. So to us, this was not a really unique experience, and we could do it anywhere really. So we were open to a lot of different opportunities and ways of accessing that heat.
I love that. How many siblings were there?
There were 3 of us. There are 3 of us. So Cedar's the youngest, and then I'm the middle, and then we have an elder sister as well, Sarah.
She loves saunas just as much.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that sounds so fun. 5 of you driving around in a van/sauna. So
Absolutely.
this was happening in Nova Scotia.
This was happening in Nova Scotia, and I think it
And
really
Maine.
and Maine as well,
Mm-hmm.
as we were
Mm-hmm.
making our way to Nova Scotia. And I think a big part of that experience, it really opened our eyes to wellness, and wellness as being part of your lifestyle and not necessarily a luxury. But we also really loved complementary health, and my mother did a lot with herbs and natural medicine, and it really gave us that exposure at a young age that there were other ways of healing your body other than being in a clinical kind of setting. Clinical settings are excellent, and their medicine has, so many people, and we acknowledge that. But we love adding to it with complementary health. And I think that is what catapulted me, anyways, on my journey to the life sciences. I studied at the University of Guelph. I thought maybe I would be a clinician. I thought maybe a hospital would be a place that I would, explore. But after, studying for a few years, I realized that medicine wasn't my end goal. And I really wanted to focus more on the complementary health and wellness. And then Cedar, on the other hand.
So I was a boat captain.
Boat captain.
Yes. And at the time there are more female captains now, but at the time I was the only female 12-meter captain. And in a world of boys. So that was
Rock star status, just a little
Uh-huh.
bit.
12 meters, so that's like a 40-foot boat, basically.
So 12 meters, it's a math formula, and it takes into consideration a lot of the different measurements on the boat. So nothing on the boat is 12 meters. It's sail area, depth,
Mm-hmm.
length, width, all the things that go into it. But they're usually between 60 to 72 feet, somewhere in there.
That's a big boat.
Yeah.
In Newport, where we live right now, has the largest fleet of 12 meters in the world. And so it was really an excellent experience for Cedar so she moved to Newport after Nova Scotia, back from where our family was. Mm-hmm. We had some roots here. And she joined the family business of sailing on these 12 meters, which were gentlemen racing yachts. They were the old America's Cup boats. Right. So really fast, really exciting. But it also was this lifestyle of bringing in, nature, the environment, water, and wellness. And so her kind of wellness experience was on the water, on the boats, and mine was kind of in a classroom. But together we were both learning and experiencing different ways of getting to that end goal.
Yeah. I went from on the water to in the water.
In the water, I love that. So, Harmony, did you end up in Newport as well?
I did. I had my first big job out of school was working for a company called Bioadvantex Pharma, which was a functional food, a nutraceutical company. And we worked with prostate cancer and HIV, and we provided functional foods and vitamins for those disease states to complement the clinical medicine that they were taking and enhance the way their life, the quality of life during that time. It was wonderful. I spent 5 years traveling all over the world doing this, learning about it, experiencing it. And, after five plus years, I decided it was time for a change. And, I call it my quarter life crisis. I was 25. And Cedar said, why don't you pop down to Newport and come hang with me for a summer? And while you decide what you're going to do next. And I said, sure, let's do it. So we shared a room and her bed, actually. And I hopped on the 12s as well. So I started doing the charter race circuit, which was wonderful. And at the end of the season, everybody goes south and then they go to Europe and they travel all over the world on these boats. And if you're lucky enough to have the yachting skills that you can be of service to the crew and the captain, then you might get chosen to go on one of these boats and travel around. This is well before Below Deck series.
Nothing like that.
Right.
Yes. But Cedar and I were both really fortunate to be able to travel to Europe and the Caribbean. And I've been to Panama and Central America and South America. We've been all over the world on these sailboats. And you get to really experience culture and community in a very different, unique way when you're arriving on a boat. And you have to immerse yourself and you have to provision. And there's no concierge to help you. You are immersed in this community and way of life. And along those experiences, being on a boat with all men, as Cedar mentioned, we would find solace in some of these beautiful hydrotherapy spas all over the world that typically were not present in Canada or in America at the time, in our local areas anyways. I'm sure they were in other parts, but we would, experience these hydrotherapy centers, and we would spend the whole day, and we would leave after sweating and then plunging and then resting, and we would leave glowing. And we would leave feeling really shiny inside and light and beautiful. And it was just such a wonderful way to rejuvenate after working on these boats for big trips. It was a great escape, beautiful escape. So that whole experience had a lot to do with just educating us on what other types of spa experience in this sauna culture world were happening outside of our little van and personal sauna back in Nova Scotia.
So, Cedar, when you were both back on land at some point, who decided maybe we should make a business here?
So that happened in 2012, and I was still a boat captain here in Newport, Rhode Island. Harmony had actually just moved. You just moved to Newport at that time with her brand new baby girl, and they took a trip out to Maui, Harmony and some girlfriends. And they had gone to this amazing but very small rustic spa. I'm going to let you tell the story of that spa.
So we were there with probably 8 of our best girlfriends from Toronto. And we brought our babies and we were just enjoying like the magic of Maui. It's a beautiful place. We were on the North Shore, and on the North Shore, near Jaws, the very famous surfing break, there's this teeny little spa called the Zen Spa. And my aunt had booked it out for all of us, and we thought, wow, that's really exciting.
Nice.
We would get the whole spa for all of us. But when we got there, we realized it was like the teeniest little room. And we kind of looked around and were a little confused, but it had all the components. It had this 2-person infrared sauna. It had probably a 3-person, little hot tub that you could immerse in and get the water benefits. It had this kiddie pool, this blue kiddie pool that you would see on someone's front lawn with a hose that would
love it.
fill it with this cold water. And we looked around at each other, but we said, okay, let's give it a try. And we spent a couple hours, and we did the circuit. We talked in a calm, low voice. We kind of went within with each other, and we still enjoyed this hydrotherapy circuit as if it was, one of these grandiose experiences that we had in other parts of the world. And to be honest, when we left, the prize was the same at the end of the day.
You felt good.
Just as good. We were glowing. Our skin felt great. Our moods were lifted. And it was just such a pivotal moment, I think, for me personally, that as soon as we got back to the place that we were staying, I hopped on LoopNet, and I just thought, wow, I found that there was this building that was for sale in Newport. And I called Cedar and I said, do you want to do something crazy with me? I think we could do something a little better than the Zen Spa, but it doesn't have to be one of these,
massive undertakings.
I think we can do
boutique.
something in between. And I think it would be really beautiful for our little Newport community. I think it would do really well. And Cedar immediately, I call her my ride or die. She said, yes. And I said, okay,
Absolutely.
Thanks for believing, and let's talk when I get home. But that was the Maui moment, our aha moment.
I love it. So you found a building. Did you end up with that building? How did that search go?
We sure did. Yeah. We just went online, and Newport's a small town. So we actually bought the building for $300,000, if you can believe it.
Amazing.
Which is peanuts in this town. I mean, I don't think you could buy a parking space for that much in this town anymore. And it
needed a lot of work. It was very run down, but that's exactly what we needed for where we were starting from. So we were kind of putting together everything we could to put into this. And this building had a great location. It needed a lot of work, but that was okay, because whatever building we bought, we were going to need to basically go down to bare bones. So we didn't want a place with beautiful floors or anything else. We wanted to have like an open box almost for us to kind of realize this dream we were putting forward.
Well, I have to ask you how you got financing. I mean,
it was tough. We came with a little bit of equity. We had a couple properties in Toronto that we had, flipped before moving down here. So that was excellent. We had, between us, we had a little bit of money to put forward, which I think was helpful. That being said, we were set up with a wonderful agent at the SBA, the Small Business Association. And he was so motivating and promising that after the very first meeting, he was like, this is an incredible idea. Don't worry, girls, we're going to make it happen. I was like, are you sure? So his vote of confidence in the very beginning was incredible. We've never had anybody so in our corner, I don't think, since that day. I mean, people are very much in our corner, but we still have to prove the concept even still to this day, 13 years later. His name was Bodhi Violet, and he believed in us so much, it just gave us the confidence. So
such a brand new concept at that time. I think
it was
pretty amazing.
I mean, we're having trouble getting financing now when people know what it is.
Sure.
I think that's kind of what excited him about it as well.
Yeah.
That it was something that we needed and didn't have yet.
And so just so you know, we actually got denied for financing the first time, even though Buddy Violet and the SBA believed in us. And he said, let's put the paperwork forth. Let's do this. So ultimately there's a board that's going to approve it. And he was not the whole board. So there were other people that said, this looks a little bit risky and I don't think we should do it. So they gave us the denial, I think in June, after we had already bought the building, by the way.
Of course.
Or put the down payments on and we're ready to go. And he said, the notice came back that we were denied. And we said, okay, well, what do we do to appeal this? And they said, well, nobody appeals it. You're denied. Like, this is, And we said, well, we're going to appeal it. So please, if you could just give us a description of why. And so there were a couple points on there, and we thought we can get around this. And one of them was lack of spa education or experience. So I had a little bit of a background in business, but I didn't have it in the spa business world. We needed to secure a little bit more money and put it into escrow as a insurance policy. And we had kind of already exhausted all of our family kind of donations and support, but we got on the phone, and within 24 hours, we drummed up, set amount of money for the escrow as a loan with 5% interest going back to that person. And we created a board of directors that had spa clinicians, professors, and local business owners as well. And then we put that package forward, and they were like, beautiful, you guys are good.
Good for you. I love the determination to make it happen. So tell us, how long did this all take, and where did the name Bodhi come from?
Sure. So Bodhi was the first thing we did was name the spa because we needed something to kind of pitch as our business plan. And what we loved about this experience was that you feel a little bit more alive and awake in your own skin, kind of like you've just done a really beautiful yoga class and you realize that you have nerves on the tips of your toes and the tips of your fingers that you maybe didn't realize you had when you were kind of sitting around not being so active. And we've always been interested in Eastern kind of culture and, the Buddhist community and spiritual community, and not necessarily religious, but more the spiritual, all-encompassing guidance. And, we loved the idea that the Buddha was meditating under this Bodhi tree. And during this time, he became spiritually more awake and enlightened. And we wanted that for our guests when they came after being at the spa, that they would just leave feeling a little more awake and aware of their own personal body and self.
Beautiful. So Newport is your smallest location. Give us some of the idea of scope of it, how large it is.
So it's 2,500 square feet. The majority of it is dedicated to our water journey. We actually originally were only going to do the water journey circuit. And then, after talking to some of these other professionals, they said, you should really consider maybe doing some massage and complementary services. And so I'm really glad we took that up, that advice and went forward with that, because it is really great to complement and pair the two together and feel like you get even more out of your facial and even more out of your massage if you pair it with a water journey, which is amazing. We also, in Newport, even though it is a smaller facility, we have this beautiful Zen garden in the back area. And to have that in Newport is very rare and very special. We don't have it in our Providence location, but we do have a bigger facility there. So there's some trade-offs. And then in Norwood, our newest one, we don't have it yet, but we plan on having one.
Okay. There are 3 treatment rooms at Newport?
Yes.
And retail area, and you have men's and ladies' locker rooms, and then you have the water circuit. And tell us what's in the water circuit.
So our water circuit, after speaking with a scientist actually from France who has very, up on the hydrotherapy, he said, I love the circuit that you guys are developing. You really need to name it because people here don't understand what that is. So we had a think tank and we came up with a name together and we called it the Water Journey. So you might hear us refer to it as the Water Journey. It's self-explanatory a little bit, but we'll tell you what's involved in that. So we can start anywhere, but we do have a 98-degree mineral pool, and that's your body's natural temperature. So it's a great place to start and end if you wanted to thermoregulate back to your natural kind of internal core temperature. We have a 13-degree aromatherapy steam room that has eucalyptus infused in these steam heads. So it's really great for, congestion, respiratory system. Steam is wonderful for your skin, and it's at a different temperature as well, which is going to add to the thermoregulation of your body. We have a 104-degree different mineral pool as well. So different temperature, different minerals. So a few different health benefits there. We have 2 different saunas, a traditional sauna that gets to about 180, 200 degrees, and an infrared sauna, which is a little bit lower heat, about 150 degrees. Both work a little bit differently, but at the end of the day, the mechanism's the same. It's heating your body up, it's facilitating sweat, it's improving circulation. And then, the money pool, the one that everybody comes for right now, the big buzzword is the cold plunge. We love the cold plunge. That's 55 degrees. We don't advise that you have to do anything in any order, but we do gently recommend that you follow your heat with cold to get the maximum health benefits out of this contrast therapy circuit.
I love that pool that you have at Newport because you can walk through it. It's not just a jump in and out. And it is a soft cold, right? It's not 37 or 40 degrees. So even people who are a little not wanting to be cold, you can get in there and get out. I love that.
Yeah.
And you have showers and some seating areas.
Yes.
And you fit all that in what, 1,500 feet?
20, 2,800 square feet.
I mean, but the water circuit portion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. It's compact. And it's funny because some people will go to Providence, which is about 500 square feet larger in the water journey room. And they will say, this is smaller than Newport and, Newport's much bigger. I don't know. It's perception, I guess. But we've really worked a lot over the years on figuring out the amount of people that make space that makes sense for the space.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the very beginning, in that small space, because we had it open-ended, we had people coming and then staying for as long as they would like. This is pre-COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we would get upwards of 23 people in there at a single time because people wouldn't check out, and it was fine. People were okay. We didn't really get a lot of overcrowding kind of complaints. We've now since changed the way that we allow the guests to experience the journey with breaks in between the sessions and timed slots. So that way we can more thoughtfully take care of the amount of people that are in there. And 12 is the max that we allow in.
Mm-hmm.
And still get people saying it's too crowded, 12 people is too much.
And it used to be double.
Be double. It's changed since COVID has changed a lot of people's perceptions.
Absolutely.
And so we think that that's the shift, but we're shifting what people are looking for as well. So we're okay with it. That's why we've reined it back and adjusted. But it's interesting because
yes. When did you start that shift from open booking to timed arrivals?
It was when we got shut down for COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
2020, March 14th, I think it was, Cedar's birthday.
Yep.
We were actually in Sunday River, Maine. We were meeting with their whole executive team. They were discussing opening a Bodhi Spa in Sunday River, which was really exciting. And the meeting had to get canceled because they shut the whole mountain down and we didn't know what was happening. And as we're driving home, we're figuring out what to do.
Closing the spa.
So we closed the spa and there was no reopening plan because we didn't fit into a business category. So that was the scariest part about COVID for us. So we had to take every guideline and regulation that they had put for other businesses and create our own reopening plan and prove to them that we were going to be really smart and safe. And this is how we were going to do it. So I think in a way I think everybody had to work so hard, but we had to kind of reinvent ourselves in a way to try to make us fit into some of these other guidelines that other people were doing to convince them that we could also reopen safely.
When were you able to reopen in 2020?
I believe it was October of 2020, because that is also when we had our grand opening of the Bodhi Spa Providence.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
But Providence was already underway at this point.
Providence was well underway and full construction, and it got very delayed. Everything got shut down for a few months. So the construction got shut down. One thing to know is the Department of Health regulates all of the pool licenses, and we don't have a water journey room without our pool licenses because 3 of our components are pools. We can't open and sell a single spa service without the Department of Health. Also for massages, aesthetics, all of our business relies on the Department of Health. And the Department of Health was so overworked trying to keep people safe, trying to get people vaccines, trying to keep people alive at that moment. And so we were not a priority, and we understood that. But we needed to make ourselves a priority because we were teetering on possible bankruptcy. I mean, how do you can't keep...
Money was still going out and nothing was coming in.
Nothing coming in. Not a good equation.
Not a good equation. So our reopening plans, we did every single Zoom podcast you could imagine with people from Germany. We were part of all over the world. We renamed our front of the house staff to attendants and water journey attendants and the hygiene hostess. And we separated the roles. So everybody had very designated roles now. So we weren't cross-contaminating. We revamped our entire business model to show that we could follow some of these regulations that were being put in place for other spas, even though it wasn't for ours or other businesses.
Well, it sounds like you definitely went above and beyond, but you did get Providence open. At what point? And tell us a little bit about the scope of Providence. I know it's a bit larger than Newport.
Sure. Providence is 5,000 square feet. You know, the real kicker, all the spas have to have a big basement. So, really, if you take that square footage and you add the basement in, because that's where we have a lot of real estate down there with our massive, mechanics and equipment. We have state of the art systems that are helping to monitor the quality of our pools, the HVAC systems, the chillers, and all of this stuff. So, 5,000 square feet is a little bit misleading because we are also using 3,000 square feet in the basement for
Okay.
all of this other stuff. However, it's kind of like Disneyland, where upstairs you just see
Right.
Cinderella and all the fun and the party, and it's very spa-like, and we're using our spa voices and the music. And then you go downstairs, and that's when you can have the hard conversations. You've got the equipment. You've got like maybe a leak over here happening. You've got something else, storage and
People running around and restocking. And
the energy's high down there. So there's a lot happening on both levels, but a lot of people walk in and they see this calm, serene, cool space, and they don't realize how intricate it is underneath in the belly of the beast where we've got all.
Oh, that's a great point. Providence has the same components as Newport in terms of number of pools and saunas, cold plunge, but more treatment rooms.
Correct.
And a little larger scale on the
Yeah.
pools as well and sauna. So we were able to build a little bit bigger as well in the water journey room, even though it's the same number of components and the same ones. We just made them a little bit bigger, and we have 6 treatment rooms.
Yes. 6 treatment rooms, 2 couples rooms. What we realized was on the massage side of things, people love couples services. So that was a priority. And throughout, the way that we've grown the business and made it successful is we've listened to every single guest who has ever left us any feedback and taken it very seriously. So when we hear that it would be more comfortable to have actual couples rooms, when we hear that the light placement isn't relaxing because it's in the wrong place, when we hear that, maybe the configuration of the space could be better in this way, or more of a relaxation room could be better over here. All of those things came true in Providence. And it's a wonderful thing that you can take all of that feedback and guest knowledge and then use it to create an even better space. And
When did Providence eventually open?
So end of October of 2020.
Goodness, amazing that you got it open in that year.
It is amazing. We spoke to every level of our government that would listen to us. Aside from tackling, one of the senators at a Newport film party,
she almost did.
They heard us and they saw us, and everybody wanted businesses to reopen. It was the intention of the state was to get people reopening, and I think they saw our drive and our commitment, and they wanted to help us, and they saw how much we were willing to participate in whatever way that they told us to do. We did everything they said. We were fully in.
And came with our own ideas as well.
Yeah.
So Providence opens October of 2020. Now you've got the 2 locations running. There's 2 of you. How did you start to parse out like who goes where? Because that's a big step. 1 to 2 is a whole different animal.
We tend to go at it in a partnership. Where she goes, I go. If there were situations, normally we are together and we'll travel in a pack and we'll go to each location, make sure they're supported, and then, wherever is needed. But there were definitely times during this phase when we did have to separate because staffing was also a very difficult part of this. So there were times where we're like, okay, you're going to be on the floor in Providence and I'll be on the floor in Newport to support. So we did have to separate for a little while, which is always tough for us.
That's cute. So tell us about Norwood, location 3. You're humming along here. Your locations are as busy as imaginable. I recall that when I was working with you and I came to try to have a water journey, I couldn't even get an appointment. It was like, and you were taking at that point, I think 10 people per session, and there was no openings for days. And I'm like, what are these ladies doing? This is amazing. So when did the idea for Norwood start, and why did you select that location, which for listeners is in Massachusetts, another state? which has its own set of complications.
Yeah, I mean, I think after we had our big success in Providence and we realized that, even during COVID and through all of this hardship, we could open, and we started to make money, pretty soon after opening. I think it was 5 months maybe, and we were cash flow positive. It was a little longer than Newport or Norwood took just because of the timing. However, I think that was really inspiring to us. And we always had the idea of the big three. So that was always the original business plan, because 3 different towns, 3 different demographics. If we want to sell this business, it makes sense that we can present 3 different proven successes in 3 very different locations. So the timing seemed to make sense. We knew that it was going to take a while to find the building, because that's one of the harder parts. So we started looking probably in 2022, I would say, like 2 short years after we kind of got it running. And the criteria was, because we are so hands-on, that it needed to be within 3.5 hours from our home in Newport. We needed it to be in a somewhat nicer area. Not doesn't have to be affluent, but we needed to be accessible for people that want to come and work. We realized after COVID and the staffing how difficult it was. We needed to also consider, are there going to be employees that will come and outfit this place, way out here in the boondocks or a little closer to an urban setting? So all of those things kind of mattered. And especially what matters, as we've talked about, is the basement and the type of the building. So is it 1 story or is it 3 stories? 3 stories doesn't really work when you're sinking pools in. 1 story works better. Basements are our best friend. Parking is amazing. And so all of these factors played a part in it. And Norwood is about an hour and 20 minutes from our house. It's exactly 30 minutes to downtown Boston proper on the public transit. It's right off of 95, which is a major highway going around Boston. Yeah, it checked a lot of the finance. It was a good price. But we looked at probably 50 buildings until we found this one over the course of those 2 years.
We almost signed on one, but we were going to have to build a parking lot across the street. So it was, we were having a tough time. And then this one just ticked all the boxes.
Yeah.
So at this point, you have a successful business. You're buying the building. Do you get a loan for the building and then the fit out separately? I mean, what was the procedure for that?
Yes. So we always buy our buildings. So that's always first step. We do kind of look at it as a package though. So we get all of the kind of construction docs, pricing on everything from soup to nuts, with the price of the building, the price of the construction, the drawings, the engineering, and then we kind of present it and go after the loans, because we want to make sure that we're going to be able to get the loans for the construction as well. Even though we kind of knew that the price was good and that it would work out, we still had to get all of those other items in place before really going at the loan at a whole scope.
But I hope it was easier this time with your track record.
Definitely.
Of proven success. Good.
Yes.
Good. So I know you had some adventures with the Norwood building, the process. Can you share any of those?
Yeah, I think
we've had adventures with each building.
Sure.
Interesting.
There were asbestos, I think.
Asbestos. There was a car lift underneath the basement floor. So we called it the big dig.
Car lift, like had it been a garage or something before?
Or a gas station?
Way back when, which we had no idea, because we knew it had been a medical building at one point. Did not expect the asbestos due to that. But then I guess even previous to that, must have been a gas station or a mechanic's shop, because underneath the bottom basement floor were these car lifts. So we had to literally dig out.
They found it when they were scanning?
Yeah.
So much of that, because we have to add so much support into the basement that we need to make sure that it's going to hold, and we can't have these gaps or holes kind of underneath that. So that was one of the big items that we found. But it's also it's a new state for us. So it was different regulations. They are much more adamant on the environmental side of things. So there were a lot of checks and balances on that. And then, whole new Department of Health as well to kind of figure out and navigate with.
Amazing. And it opened, about a year ago, right?
It opened in May of this year, or of last
Okay.
year,
Yeah.
rather.
Hmm.
It's of
Yep.
2025 in May. Yep. And and it's been a wonderful, wonderful experience so far. And asking how we're managing these. So we have a general manager in each location. So then they have an assistant manager, and then they have their full team underneath with leads and therapists and trainers and great
Hmm.
staff. And so that's essential. I mean, I think us
Hmm.
trying to manage three locations at three very different areas, it just wouldn't set the business up for success. It wouldn't be fair
Hmm.
to our clients. It wouldn't be fair to the business. You wouldn't get the attention and care that you needed. So we always say that we're trying to build a company and not just a small business. So we want to build
Good.
infrastructure. We want to build the foundation so that way Cedar and I can walk away and disappear, and the Bodhi Spa will always be here because
Hmm.
we built that intentional infrastructure to support it.
You've definitely worked hard to create that. Is Norwood bigger yet than Providence?
Yes, it is. It's 8,900 square feet, so almost
Mm.
10,000, which would be twice the size of Providence. Like Cedar was mentioning, we had the phase two is we'll put the Zen garden out front, which we think is
Mm.
really important. Again, it's larger relaxation rooms, still 6 treatment rooms like Providence. They're all just a
Hmm.
little bit bigger, a little more room to move around, a little like gender inclusive space in this one as well, which is a
I
really
love that.
and
A
yeah,
little larger on the pool side of things in the water
Hmm.
journey space. Still same beautiful circuit, same
Hmm.
minerals at all our locations, but a little larger on that scale as well.
Well, wonderfully for you guys, the timing was probably amazing for Norwood because people know what these things are now, which they didn't with either of the other two. So, how
yeah.
quickly did Norwood get, busy and sought after?
We still have a lot of room to grow. We don't do any paid advertising. So this is all
Hmm.
based on word of mouth and social media. But we were cash flow positive in August. So I think
Amazing.
just over 3 months, which was we were able to exhale. And then we start building, which is wonderful. We invested, and you may remember, in a director this year who's
Hmm.
been just a lifesaver for us. So she is overseeing the management in all three, along with us, of course. We will always
Uh-huh.
be involved. But she brings that Forbes 5-star training, and she is really working on, taking this recipe for success that we have and putting it in this beautiful package and just making it flow seamlessly through all three locations consistently as a brand. So that's been a really wonderful upgrade that we've added on this year.
Good, good for you. Would you say that, I mean, you're looking at your model, the water circuit, the treatment rooms, the revenue from the water side is probably substantially larger than that from the treatment side. Do you think it's still important to have both?
It's actually kind of almost on par, I would say,
Mm.
because what we've realized is that a lot of people, when they come for the water, they'll do a little add on with a massage. And
Hmm.
that side of the business has certainly grown. And we would really love to see it continue to grow because what we noticed was the massage side of the business opened a lot earlier than the water journey side of the circuit
Hmm.
or the service business with COVID. So we realized having these other revenue strains and opportunities
Hmm.
made a lot of sense. So there are spas that survive solely on facials. So there's no reason
Right.
our facial side of the business couldn't be just as effective and profitable as well as the massage side as our water journey side. So we're really focusing on developing those sides and creating beautiful protocols and beautiful services that can complement the water journey experience.
Do you find that guests for the water journey are using the spa, or are they two different kinds of guests?
We find they're using it. Yeah, yeah, they
Good.
really. It's our most popular package is a massage plus a water journey. It really is so therapeutic. So yeah, we really feel like people are enjoying both sides of it.
We get a lot of people too who come in and they've never experienced a water journey before, so they'll come in for a massage or a facial, and we might give them a peek or a tour into that
Hmm.
space, and they're so blown away that the next time they come back, that's going to be a part of their journey.
Amazing. Well, it is beautiful the way that you do it. And as you said, people just still, certain people don't know what it is. And when they see it, they're like, oh, okay, this looks pretty awesome. Who wouldn't like to lounge around in nice warm pools? I mean, come on.
Well, and that's kind of our marketing plan is word of mouth, because we've provided this experience that's unique and nobody's done it before. And then what are you going to talk about next time you're at a dinner party? You're going to talk about what you did in the previous week that was unique and that you enjoyed and how it made you feel. And our biggest message to our team is do a good job, because we have this beautiful product that people want to talk about. And as long as we do a good job and provide this service to our guests and to our community, the word of mouth is going to catapult us and keep us on top, which it has for the last 13 years. So we're really
For
grateful for
sure.
that.
So let's talk a little bit about the business logistics. I mean, you've got the two sides. You have the water journey bringing in X dollars without staff, really. You have but heavy maintenance and infrastructure, and then you've got the spa side where you have this revenue similarly, but with higher labor costs.
Yes.
Overall, they work together.
They really do. I mean, if you really break it down, though, I mean, thinking about the amount of laundry that we do with the water journey, now we have a dedicated water journey attendant that just stays pretty much in that room, pouring
Hmm.
water, replacing towels, squeegeeing the floor,
Mopping.
mopping. There is an
Monitoring
attendant
the vibe.
monitoring the vibe, keeping the vibe chill, like all quiet, whisper please, making sure nobody hurts themselves or nobody's falling.
Hmm.
Like, so we have these people that are there to care for the guests even while they're in the water journey, whether they're present with them at that time or not. There's actually more employees than you may realize. We
Hmm.
have an experienced hostess that sets the lockers with their cups, with their numbers, with their
Mm.
specific sizes. That experienced hostess will also get our guests, if they have a massage that they need to be escorted to during that time where they might be in the water journey. And then we have our concierge who does all the booking and all the intake forms and makes sure that the medical is all in line. So we actually have like 5 or 6 people working during a water journey session that are
Mm.
helping to
Facilitate.
and
Yeah.
make the space comfortable for everybody.
So not exactly labor free, but the ratio of labor to guest is different than it would be on
Sure.
the spa side.
Yes.
Yes.
And tell us about the laundry.
Ooh, the laundry. Well, Speed Queen is our best friend.
Yeah.
So
We did look at parsing it out in the very beginning, but for the amount that we would have to have was it was just exorbitant. It was way too extreme. So we said, we need to be able to do this in house. So we have found these great commercial units, and we have them running 24/7.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's a
You
full.
have a laundry team? Do people are dedicated just to doing laundry? Yeah.
Absolutely.
that would be our hygiene hostess. So
Uh-huh.
they remove the dirty, they wash it, and then they replenish with fresh stock. So there's always a circuit happening, just this constant loop of removing, replacing, washing, and repeat.
Is the laundry on the same floor as the spa areas
In Providence, it is. In Newport, it's
in the basement?
yeah,
And Norwood's
Yeah.
upstairs as
and
well.
Norwood is upstairs as well.
Uh-huh. And that's an easier plan, I would guess, with bucket loads of wet laundry to be on the same floor.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
would do that again, on our next location. It's more of a space thing in Newport. I think we would bring it
Mhm.
upstairs if we could.
Give us a sense of how many people, let's say at Norwood, you see on a busy day and how many washers and dryers you have. What's the relationship between those numbers?
So we have, like right now, I'd say we're seeing about 100 people a day in Norwood.
Uh-huh.
It's not quite at capacity yet. We have 4 washers and 4 dryers, and
Hmm.
they're going at
Okay.
all times. And we can typically keep up because we're constantly doing it. We're not waiting for it to be over and then we're adding 45 towels in. We're doing this consistently throughout the day.
Are guests able to take as many towels as they like, or do you parse them out when they arrive?
We welcome the guests to help themselves to as many towels, and
Well,
we also walk around with towels,
Fresh.
offering them fresh. It
mm,
gets a little sweaty in the saunas, and we
mhm.
want you to always have the option of a fresh towel whenever
We
possible.
have them out on display as well if we're not there, so that they can just take them as they need.
It's a question that we're grappling with a lot in these types of facilities, whether to just give one towel or two towels or to let people take them. So that's why I
Sure.
asked. Thank you for sharing. Now, maintenance, I know that you are closed one day a week in each location. Is that really essential?
Yes, I think so.
We think so, but you've made us think about it. I've got to say, with with the question. It's certain we're always open to exploring, but for us up until now, it has been a really essential part of it.
If you
What
need
happens on that day
you
that
need to
you're
replace
closed?
the pump, we drain
Mm.
every pool, we scrub
You
everything.
drain every pool every week?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh my goodness.
That's not a rule that we have to follow. That's something we do because we are so serious about cleanliness and the quality of our facility. So not only do we drain the pools every week, but the filters come out, everything gets changed, everything gets cleaned. HVAC pumps. There's so many different things. We have an entire Google Calendar with repeating items and then new ones that come up, on the monthly, annually as well. It's just really important to have those times carved out and clear for them to have the space to do the work and not rush through it and take your time. Make sure you stay ahead of anything that might, end up failing. And with the laundry, we have units go down all the time. And so it's also important that we can get mechanics in there as well and to take care of those units.
And who's performing this maintenance? It's not someone on staff or
Yes. Yeah. So
you work one day a week? Like, how does that work?
we pay
Every
them.
day.
We pay them for 40 hours. We pay a full-time maintenance manager at each location, and we're really serious because it's the crutch of our business. The water journey.
Mm-hmm.
Our pools are unbalanced. We don't open for the day, and then that costs us a lot of money. And we wouldn't open if our pools were not balanced. I know some people fudge the numbers. They're like, it's a little bit off, and but we're very serious about getting out ahead of any of these things that come up. So our criteria is the maintenance manager shows up before we open every single day, except for their 2 days off, and sets the spot for success with balanced pools. And if anything's off, guiding the girls on how to balance it. And then on our close down day, that's their big day. It's their day that they come in for 10 hours and they scrub, they regrout, they repaint, they service equipment, they order new parts. I mean, it is a full-time job on that day. And we only physically have them on site for a certain amount of hours. And then the other hours that are baked into that salary are on call. So when we have a snowstorm, we don't want to feel bad about calling you. We want to know that we've baked in some extra hours. When something goes down, we need to be able to call you at 7:00 at night, even though it's with your family.
The ice machine's down. Let's get some ice to the spa. We need your delivery skills.
And
amazing.
The maintenance isn't the only person that works on those close down days. Our manager and assistant manager works, and that's when they can kind of have a meeting and they can meet with the maintenance guy and we can plan for the week ahead. That's when we have our cleaning service that comes in and does this deep clean for like 6 or 7 hours versus just the 3 on the nightly. And they really get everything looking pristine. So every department has a little bit of a role in that close down day. It's not just a day of rest. It's kind of like where we get a lot of the stuff done.
It's when you can really do a walkthrough as well, because we don't have the clients in there. We can take our time, do a walkthrough and notice things that might need attention.
You can have staff meetings too those days.
That's another great one.
Right. So what's been the biggest surprise for you on this journey? Like looking back now on your 13 years in this business, what did you not predict when you started?
How successful we would be.
Yeah, I think so.
That's a super one.
I think our goal was to provide a service to our community in a business that A, we could feel really good about. B, that was something that we enjoyed being a part of and doing. So the wellness industry is just so wonderful. And then also to provide an occupation for us, something that we can be creative and have, a modest income and add some sort of a support to our household income. We live on a small island, so you have to either create your own destiny or you work in a restaurant or a hotel or one of these kind of touristy attractions. And we just wanted to be in control of that, and it surpassed all of our goals. Yeah, so it's been pretty incredible.
Cedar, what are your thoughts?
Very in line with that. And for me too, I was looking to step out of the sailing role because I did want to have a family. And at that time, I hadn't had any kids yet. And I was looking to transition into something that would work better with that lifestyle. And being a boat captain and pregnant is not the easiest thing. So when she brought that to me, I thought, Harmony is a very driven person and she's a visionary. So when she brought the idea to me, I knew that this was my chance. to really pursue something amazing that I would be passionate about as well because of where it was coming from in our history. And so yeah, it was really about making that switch. And then again, like the surprising part was the amazing success and also the amount that we affected people's lives. Some of our first clients were cancer patients, and it was so incredible to speak with them afterwards and to find out how much they felt we had helped them. And that was so special to us. Like that's, it still gets me just talking about it now, because it was really incredible to feel that. And truly, like, I think probably in our first couple of weeks, like they were some of our very first customers.
You know, I always say this, that people come into the wellness industry from other walks of life and they just don't leave, because you do get these great feelings of connection and help and community that you don't get when you work in an accounting office necessarily. It is excellent. Looking forward, well, let's look back on one other issue. Anything you would do differently if you build a fourth Bodhi Spa?
I feel like with the Norwood location, we've checked because we've built on this, we've really checked all of the boxes. And one thing we didn't mention in Norwood is that we actually have 2 cold plunges this time.
Yeah.
I thought this is a pretty great one. And there's actually been a lot of research and science on women cold plunging versus men cold plunging. And what we love is that women don't necessarily, and it's actually not as good for us to plunge in such cold temperatures. It's too much of a shock. We can get hotter in saunas typically and regulate that way. But with the cold, it's actually not as beneficial to get that cold in the plunges. So now we have a colder, I'm not going to say men versus women, but it does kind of align with the science. So we have 2 different temperature cold plunges in.
I love that.
We have a 45 degree and we have a 55 degree. So we want it to be all encompassing and attainable for everybody to experience. So I think we would continue on with that model in the 2 cold plunges. What else would you say?
I think another thing that we might not be looking to change, I think we really need Norwood to settle in for a while to see if there's anything else that we might change. You know, with Providence, we definitely get different ideas from Providence and the way things are set up logistically that we were able to do in Norwood. So I think we have to kind of take a little pause and figure out, okay, how does this configuration work? Is this the perfect way? Would we make any changes? But one of the other great things we realized is that some people who aren't as comfortable being in a space with others is they're looking for something a little more private. So we, in Providence and Norwood, soon to come, created a kind of private room. And it is a sauna and cold plunge. You know, eventually we might add a spa in there as well. But you have a shower, a sauna, and a cold plunge. And you can do that solo or with a partner. So it's, you know, if you really want that solitary, super quiet Zen meditation space, you can find that there now. And I think that's really important, especially post-COVID. That was a huge thing we realized people were really looking for.
I love that.
Solo experience. So that was a new addition that we realized we needed after that.
So do you ladies find time to sauna now that you own 3 spas?
But not at the spa. Once in a while at the spa.
Yeah.
Because we're there, you know, much of the time, we have them at our houses.
Smart.
So
that's
just
the
like
way to do it.
Growing up, we had the van, and then we had a small sauna eventually with, you know, a cold plunge bucket that you could pull down over your head, or a snowbank. Now we have it at our homes. Harmony has a beautiful cold plunge that I'm looking to get one of in a couple of years, and I have a hot tub. So we do still partake. And then once in a while, we do find ourselves making our way into the actual facilities as well, especially when our girlfriends might be in town visiting, or, you know, we have bachelorette parties. We just had our sister-in-law came with us. So that was really beautiful to be able to do that and experience it with them as well.
Sure, it's just not as relaxing when you're the boss and, you know, you go in and everyone has to tell you something and you're always noticing things. And so I love that you have it in your house. Cedar, do you still sail?
We both still sail. Our aunt, the same one who Harmony and her friends were visiting in Maui, she lives here also and has a sailboat. So we crew with her on that sailboat and we race in probably 4 different regattas every summer.
Amazing.
And her kind of a partner in the yachting world, he just purchased another boat. I think she might be a partner on that one too, in Europe. And so we're now thinking we might have an in on the Europe
That would be nice.
And
Little
we're
summer action over there.
San Tropez in September, so don't look for us at the spas. We'll be in San Tropez for a couple
Very
of
nice.
and that's it.
Very
Then
nice.
that's it for so
That's
Nantucket,
goals.
San Tropez, and Newport, and then that checks all of our sailing boxes. I think.
Yeah, I think you've checked quite a few boxes in your youngish lives. Well done.
Another part of that too is every summer we like to take our staff on a sail. Sailing was such a big part of our lives that I think we try to incorporate all these special moments with our staff as well. So we charter a couple boats and we take everybody out sailing in the summertime.
That's lovely. How many people work at the company now?
We're at about
Almost
90.
100.
Yeah, 90. We probably have 5 or 6 that are being interviewed right now. So we're here at 100. And that was one of our big goals when we first started. It was like, if we can do this and we can get three, let's just say big vision dreams in 10 years, let's see if we can get, 100 employees, 3 locations. And, the revenue we had throughout was $10 million in sales a year. And, it's our 10-year anniversary. And we checked all the boxes this year.
Way to go. I'm clapping for you. That's awesome. 10 million in 10 years. That's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Well done. Well, thank you both, Harmony Oschefski and Cedar Hwang, for sharing so openly your story. I think it's really inspirational. So many people around America now want to open businesses like what you have, and you just slid in there ahead of everybody else and really set the tone. So thank you for sharing your story of Bodhi Spa with us. If anybody listening is in the New England area, you should definitely check them out or look at bodhispa.com. Thanks again, ladies.
Thanks, Lisa.